できる。それに、お前は絶対私についてくる。蘇りの薬。作り方を知りたくないか。
Apothecary Diaries does a lot of things right. It consistently delivers episode to episode with exceptional dialogue, character moments, and mysteries. We've also talked plenty about the small details and their power over narrative, but today let's zoom out and take a look at the macro level of narrative writing. This is a story that could not have been made possible without preparing the proper outlines and plans for each story beat. From building up intrigue through multiple seasons to structuring a perfect singular episode in the series, all this careful planning leads the way to some of the most impactful scenes there are in anime.
私にもクス師としての矜持がある。
An episode is all you have. Jumping right into things, episode 21, called Taibon, is an episode that I think encapsulates all the best qualities the series has to offer in one neat package. Comedy, character moments, intrigue, and world building that show off the darker reality of its setting. The episode starts off with Lolan coming over to check on Maomao, only to see her doing what she does best, being an apothecary. This moment itself feels not at all too special. Considering the previous episode's revelation on Lolan's identity being Shisui, it's natural to assume she was just coming over to explain things to her friend. But the truth of the matter lies in what makes Lolan turn around. After hearing Maomao's loud pride in being an apothecary, Lolan simply smirks and walks away. So why? Did her seeing Maomao in high spirits reassure her that no explanation was needed from her side? Well, that's possibly just part of the truth. To truly understand what's happening at this moment, we must first look to a later point in the episode. After Maomao undergoes her less than lethal torture, she eventually runs into Lolan in the gunpowder workshop.
今すぐここを離れなさい。
お嬢様、どうして？
もうすぐ討伐軍が攻めてきます。
Still in hiding, she watches as Lolan seems to help the workers escape before the army reaches their gates. Could that be the reason why Lolan tried to visit Maomao earlier? To tell her about the attack? Well, before the smoke signal came, there was no real way to know for a fact when the attack was happening, but I suppose with Lolan's smarts, she would have already assumed it would happen eventually. But after they meet and talk about everything going on, it's clear that there was also much to be said from Lolan's side. The circumstances with her mother and her half-sister, Shisui. All these are big motivators to the many things she's had to do over the course of the series, the biggest of which is about to unfold. Kyowu and other kids from the village are now lying lifeless, poisoned by Lolan herself. This singular moment shocks Maomao to the core and us too as viewers. How could this girl we've come to know as Shisui be this villainous character in Lolan? But the facts speak for themselves. Considering the likely outcome of the attack being in the kingdom's favor, anyone directly connected to Shenmei and the Shi clan is doomed to execution. So perhaps the painless poison was the greatest mercy anyone could give to the sweet and innocent kids. All that shock and reasoning, however, blinds us to a very obvious fact that was built up this entire episode. And that is, Maomao is an apothecary. Poison is her craft and healing is her responsibility.
事実、水霊はその薬で蘇った。善人のクス師はやはり優秀だ。
Remember what Maomao was thinking about at the start of the episode? That's right, she was thinking back at the resurrection medicine Shisui had used before and the very reason Maomao was baited into coming to the village in the first place. So with everything set meticulously in place, her pride as an apothecary is about to be tested. But that's a story for a different episode, a bit later in this video. Taking a step back though, we can look at this episode in a less involved way to see another reason why I consider it one of the top. We touched upon this a little bit, but earlier in the episode, Maomao was put through a torture method called Taibon, the very title of the episode. The build-up to this starts when we get a look at the extent of Shenmei's villainy, throwing hands and fans at both Maomao and Suirei alike. She even goes as far as to lick the blood off of Suirei's face and spit it out. Pretty comic book level villainy if I do say so myself.
汚らわしい。お前もあの女も生まれるべきではなかったのよ。
This ultimately escalates her deciding a punishment for Maomao. At first it was to be a run-of-the-mill lashes, painful, barbaric, and scarring, but quite a common punishment in this era. It's then that Lolan interjects and suggests Taibon instead. Of course, unless you're familiar with ancient torture methods, you probably have no idea what that is. And even Maomao fails to fully remember what exactly is in store. It's a suspenseful build-up. Maomao not knowing what'll happen and Suirei breaking down in PTSD, but this tension doesn't last too long. In the next scene, the guard is already escorting Maomao to where the punishment will take place, and he even says his apologies before he goes, leaving behind a box. So what's in the box? What is the infamous torture method that scarred even a strong woman like Suirei all about? Well, it's a bunch of poisonous critters. That's right, the punishment placed upon the poison gremlin herself is a variety of exotic and poisonous critters. And so it comes as no surprise that shortly after, the guard returns to see Maomao happily munching on some of them like it's some afternoon snack.
しかしまたどうやって？
かんざしでさばいて松明で炙りました。
All that tension, all that villainy just to get our girl something to eat. It's just a funny scene, making full use of the established quirks of our lead character while also being a great contrast to what came before. But that, my friends, is not the end of the contrast. The entire episode is titled Taibon, all for it to end up being a gag. Yet the end of the episode is not yet in sight. After Maomao is freed from her poisonous buffet, we end up exactly in the scene we were talking about previously. Her meeting up with Lolan, and Lolan showing her the darkest revelation of this entire series, and one of the darkest ends to any episode there is. Lifeless kids. The clever build-up to Taibon as this horrible punishment, the villainous build-up to Maomao being the one to receive it, all that was just a pit stop in this episode that tells us punishment comes to even the most innocent of us. We were brought from laughing to some gag to being shaken to our core. That is the art of tonal contrast that this singular episode gives us a masterclass in. The most heartbreaking surprises are those that we don't see coming. So maybe next time we can think twice before asking what's in the box. What you shouldn't think twice about though is leaving a super thanks on this video. It really helps us a lot. The prince that was promised. Since all the way back in Season 1, we've been hearing whispers and hints about the potential true identity of Jinshi. I mean, who is this guy really? He's hot, smart, cunning, and ripped as hell. What makes this eunuch so special that even the infamous Commander Lacan finds the time to visit him? Well, besides being the one who's pining for her apothecary's heart, he's been teased to be a very important figure in the royal family. To be precise, one of the first hints we got was that he is the son of the previous pure consort, Adwo. This realization itself was the one that came from the brains of Maomao, right as she was being ejected from the inner palace in favor of our plum-haired tomboy. So sure, we could kinda guess already who he was, but we know as viewers the real magic moment in the series can only come the moment others in the actual story acknowledge his identity. Truth is only powerful when spoken by many, after all. Things start sizzling though by Season 2 with Jinshi himself wanting to tell Maomao about his royal lineage. But being the gremlin we all know and love, she fought well and hard to avoid any meaningful conversation with the crown prince.
お前に伝えたいことがある。
ダメだ。これ以上聞いてはいけない。
今回ついてきてもらったのもそのためだ。
It was a series of oxstones and other, particularly rock-hard things, but she got the job done. Ultimately, Maomao for the entirety of the hunting arc was able to avoid finding out who exactly Jinshi was. And at that point, we as an audience were just biting off some fingernails. Our guy just jumped off a darn waterfall to escape some assassins, for crying out loud. But that's the art of it. The building of suspense for something we already know will eventually happen. So as the episodes of the season come and go, we inevitably reach a point where the inevitable is right at the horizon. At a timely arc where Maomao had been taken and kidnapped, Jinshi reached his wit's end as he was running out of options to rescue her. That's when Daddy Lacan makes the critical push to get Jinshi his well-deserved aura farm. And what an aura farm it was, as Lacan even knelt in respect to the fully awakened Moon Prince. It's a bit poetic that Maomao herself isn't a part of the scene, but she won't be escaping the big reveal any longer. And while her physical presence is lacking, the fact that Maomao is the reason Jinshi wields his authority once more builds upon a lot of what the series is about. Epic moments don't always have to come with grand revelations. The best poisons go undetected.
息はないわ。どういう。
In this video, we've talked a good deal about a certain scene where kids lose their lives. It's tragic, it's dark, it's a good window into how cruel the older days were. Just for their association with treasonous figures like Shenmei and Shisho, even kids are destined to die. But in this story where Pleasure District apothecaries can gain the obsession of crown princes, destiny is meant to be overturned. In a turn of events fully redeeming Lolan, it turns out the kids were left in a revivable state. In particular, the same state Suirei was in all those episodes ago when she escaped the inner palace. This scene happens to be a culmination of many planted seeds too, which is pretty fitting considering that it is the final episode of season 2.
案外というか思った以上にいけたようだ。
この状況。
The two lovebirds catch up on each other's wounds since their time away from each other, and both are exhausted from the long and drawn-out Fox Village arc. But even all that doesn't make Jinshi forget that it is an odd thing that Mama herself is keeping the supposed lifeless bodies of the kids company. If you recall in a scene from season 1 at the sight of a deceased body, Maomao adamantly tells Jinshi and the others that she's unable to examine it deeply or look over it for an extended time. That is, of course, because of her freaky nature as an apothecary, in which she'd most definitely be compelled to do all sorts of experiments on the bodies.
やつれた顔で何言ってんだこいつ。いかん。
What did you think of today's video? How did you like the writing in season 2 of Apothecary Diaries? Anything disappoint you or blow you away? What other great anime do you have in mind that showcase this level of amazing writing? We can't wait to hear it. While you're at it, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more awesome content like this one. And make sure to join the comments too to talk about all things Apothecary Diaries. As always, thanks for watching. We'll be seeing you again next time.